did the 1932-33 Ashes series impact upon cultural ties between Australia and Great Britain over the next 15 years? To what extent did this occur? Actions of the British cricket team in employing controversial bodyline tactics during the 1932-33 Ashes series sparked debate between Australia and Britain. This presentation contends the Test series was not responsible for diminishing cultural ties between Australia and Britain. Rather, the Ashes series helped illustrate the gradual decline of British influence in Australia. Ultimately, the effects of World War II and subsequent American influence were the primary cause of cultural deterioration. In order to reach this determination, it is necessary to provide background information and explore key events and concepts. Bodyline tactics involved bowlers aiming the ball toward the body of a batsman, rather than traditional strategies which focused on directing the ball toward the stumps. The 1932-33 series was the first time these strategies were used in the Ashes, and they helped Britain regain the Ashes back from Australia. However, British captain Douglas Jardine's decision to get bowler Harold Larwood to use these tactics proved highly contentious because they placed batsmen at a much higher risk of injury. The decision to use bodyline tactics sparked controversy amongst the Australian public, who believed there was no rationale for employing such an abhorrent tactic, and, furthermore, they believed the British had little respect for their team. However, the British public viewed things very different. They argued their team's behaviour did not equate to poor sportsmanship or unprofessionalism. Williams notes that in November of 1933, the MCC condemned the use of bodyline tactics, claiming they did not give batsmen a fair chance in the game. How did this disagreement impact upon the two nations? The aftermath of the bodyline controversy proved important because it highlighted the existence of tension between the two nations for the very first time. According to historian McDevitt, Britain's conduct during the series resulted in a significant loss of prestige for the English in the eyes of the Empire. This statement suggests that the Test series proved significant because it partially changed the way Australia had previously viewed Britain. However, it is important to note that this rift did not act as a catalyst for the cultural breakdown between Australia and Britain, nor was it the first time tensions had existed between the two countries. According to Stoddart, the 1932-33 series proved insignificant upon the relationship between Australia and Great Britain due to the previous history of the two nations. He notes there has been controversy in every single Ashes tour since 1877. In consequence of this, tensions between the two nations have steadily grown. Economic statistics from 1933 onwards illustrate that Britain remained an integral part of the Australian economy for well over a decade. These factors would suggest that the bodyline series did not have a tremendous impact upon cultural relations between Australia and Great Britain. Rather, it is much more probable to suggest that cultural ties were affected by another factor. The Second World War had a profound impact upon social and cultural ties between Britain and Australia. According to Day, at the beginning of the war, Australia had firmly committed to serving the Empire. However, as the war carried on, Australia's sense of nationalism towards the monarchy significantly diminished. According to the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, Britain was the largest importer of Australian goods for a majority of the mid-20th century. Yet, by the end of World War II, British exports had dropped from 50% to only one-third of the Australian economy. Burgess notes by the end of World War II, Australia and the United States began to develop a tight relationship. This relationship resulted in Britain receiving less exports from Australia, and it involved America playing a more critical role in the Australian economy. This would suggest events during the war and subsequent American influence can be linked to Australia feeling less obligated to the monarchy, as opposed to events which took place during the Ashes series. This presentation has highlighted that the bodyline series in 1932-33 helped illustrate the cultural demise between Australia and Great Britain, but it was not responsible for the actual deterioration which took place between the two countries. While the bodyline series did create some hostility between Australia and Britain, it is important to recognise that the Second World War and subsequent American influence proved to be the most important catalyst for restricting British culture in Australia.